Hello all and welcome to Economic Board Games, the channel. You are in for a treat today. I'm going to give you an overview of the board game Imperial, and this is brought to you by the designer Matt Gertz. He brought you Concordia, Navigador and Imperial 2030 along with a host of other games. This particular copy is brought to you by Rio Grande Games, and this is my number 2 game of all time currently, with number 1 being Imperial 2030, the game that comes after this. So let's show you what we will be doing. Now, it may look like a war game, but it is far from it. This is a solid game of investing in nations. Now, you are an investor and you'll be spending your money to buy bonds. And let's show you some of these bonds. You can see them on the side here. These ones here, and they got the cost. So you can see it's going to cost you 2 million. And for your investment, when it comes round to paying out the dividends or the interest, you're going to get 1 million back, so a 50% return. And as you go through some of the more expensive ones, you can see 20 million, you can see the rate of return decreases. So that is a key part of the strategy. Now, you will be investing in these bonds with your own private money. And you can see this is a player area here. So they have bonds in these 4 nations, and there are 6 on the board. So you can see you have got Russia at the top there, Austria and Hungary in yellow, you've got Germany, Italy in green, France in blue, and good old Britain up there in red. So basically the person who has the majority of a nation, so whoever's invested the most, and you'll be adding up these numbers, or which one is it? This one here, I think, or this one of them. I can't remember. I think it's this one here, number 4. So whoever has the majority takes the actual flag. And if you have the flag, you get to govern how that nation is managed, and that's how you do the actions on this rondel at the top, and that is the heart of the game. And I'll kind of work through that step by step. But more importantly, you don't necessarily have to have the most to win. You can kind of play second fiddle in this game. You can get paid your interest, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game will win. So, but having the being in charge of a government really lets you dictate what you can do on the board to make more money, hopefully. So what do we have then? The actions. So let's start off with maneuver. And how this is going to work is whoever owns the control of that nation dictates where these tokens go. So let's just say yellow goes first. And talking of turn order, you can see this is Austria-Hungary, should I say, their pile of money just in here, and it's got a number 1, so they'll be going first, and then it goes clockwise around the board, so you go nation by nation rather than player. So you can see this token starts off there. Whoever has the majority, so in this case it is us, you can see we've got 9, and we do have the flag. They decide where to start off. So yellow, let's just say they go to factory. Now factories, you've got this really nice handy sort of player guide here. You can see it says factory, what the action is, where the money goes and what it does. So, but I won't look at that too much because I kind of know it all. So factory, you'll be spending 5 million of the money from that nation's fund, not your own money. So you're in control of what money they've got then. You don't want to kind of make them go bankrupt. And basically factories are these things on the board. So you start with them on distributed out the board equally, and you get to build them on these little circle spots. So you can either build the marine ones or the factories. These are the marine ones which build ships. Let me just get a couple of ships for you. So you can see that as a ship there which would go in port. I think I've actually just grabbed the black one mistakenly. So let's put that in Germany. And then you've got these kind of little artilleries as well. So that's what's produced from the brown factories. So a factory, you pay 5 mil and you can build more of them. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, when you go over to produce, so the next action, produce, will let you produce each factory 1 item. So it lets you build ships and lets you build those little artillery units. And that's key because that's how you get influence across the board. You go and attack regions and make sure other players aren't getting up to any or too much power, should I say. Now, when you move on here, so it would have gone yellow first, went to factory. The next player would have been in clockwise order, which is Italy here. So Italy could decide to go anywhere they want. They can even go on the same spot as the factory. Let's just say they go on production, just to explain that again. So yeah, each factory would produce. In this case, the Greens have one of these brown ones and one of these blues, so they'd make a ship, which would be in port, and they'd make an artillery unit. Now on the board, you've basically got provinces. So this green area is classed as a province, and you can move your figures freely in that area. Now let me show you kind of how movement works next. So let me just get a ship in port, and we've produced one of those. Right, I'm kind of skipping ahead with manoeuvre actually. So basically next player would go, which would be Italy. Let's just say they go there. You do the same again, production, and you keep working round until all these are out. And then when it gets back to Austria-Hungary, they can move up to 3 spaces, or they can pay out of their own money to move up to a maximum of 6 spaces. So let's just say they go to manoeuvre, and let's just show you how manoeuvre works. Now I haven't got any yellow pieces out on the board, so I'm just going to demonstrate with green. So you would move each piece one placement, so out of port into this sea here, the Western Mediterranean Sea, and then you can move your little artillery unit anywhere in your province, and then you basically go to an adjacent spot. So they could head into Vienna here, or you could flow one time only through one of your ships to a connecting area. So on the board you've got these neutral spots as well, which are kind of in cream, and there's a few around the board, and they are key because on this game, when you enter a new territory either by force or you're one of the first there, you get to put out what are called tax tokens. So when you get there, you'd put one of these circle discs, and you'd have put it in this sea as well to claim it. And they're key because when you go to taxation, which I might as well explain now, you can see on the board at the top here, when you land on there, you are going to be taxing all the sort of countries you have your influence on. And this is key because that's how your nation raises money. And in this case, you would get 2 million for each one, for each of your factories. So let's just do Italy, 2 million, 2 million, that's 4, and you get an extra million for each of these, so 6 million in total. You look at this chart at the top, and you can see for 6 million, you would move the green token up to there. And for doing so, whoever's the government of that gets a +1 dividend, which goes into your personal supply. So there is an advantage for doing this. 6 million, deduct the military costs. So you have 2 units at $1 million a pop. So 6 minus the 2 million for basically upkeep in your military. If you go mad on military strength, then you're going to have a large bill to pay for, and you haven't actually gained any revenue to put into the coffers for your nation, which is crucial because you want that money to be able to buy more factories to produce more for free. Now, if you ever find that you can't produce factories because your enemies have come in here and they've disabled your factories or even destroyed them, which I'm not going to go into too much detail, otherwise I'll be here forever, you can actually go to this option import, which is where you can choose a mixture of up to 3 things, and you can bring them into your province wherever you want, and that kind of just helps you not focus too much on the factories, as I say, if you've got enemies in your area. What else have we got? So I think we've gone through pretty much all the actions. Factories, production, you've got maneuver to move around, we've gone import and taxation. So investor. Now once you pass this spot here, this line, you can either land on it or you can pass it. Now if you do pass it, it gives players the opportunity to buy these bonds, and that is the only chance you will get unless you do one of the advanced options in the rules. And this card here will start off with a player, and you get 2 million once someone crosses that line with any of those markers, and you get to buy any of these bonds. And as I say, they vary in size, and these are key because they give you majority. So if someone decides to get into, what have we got here? We've got a Russia at a value of 9. If someone goes and buys a combination which equals larger, they then take this, and that gives them power to do their actions. And well, that's crucial because it means you can either spend their money, or you can go on this investor spot maybe, or do the tax. Well, a combination of things. Now, if you decide to actually land on invest, this is where you trigger the interest at the bottom. So in this case, if Russia landed on there, everyone who has a bonds in Russia will get paid interest. So in this case, 4 million, and this number kind of represents it rather than looking at this one here. So 4 million, and you would pay out everyone else on the board who has shares, and then yourself last. Now, the crucial point is this money comes out of Russia's fund, and if they don't have money in there, it's coming out of your private fund, whoever's the governor of it. So it's crucial as to when you tax, because you want the money to go in there so you can reap the rewards and get money for your dividends, because you then, well, the whole game is about being an investor and being shrewd and developing your own personal profits for the win. Now, how do you trigger the game end? So at the bottom, you can see as you tax, so I should have probably added on here, when you tax, you will get the number of points added. Oh, I think I've actually made a mistake there. This one here is not the, I don't think that's the dividend actually. This is, I'm getting confused with Imperial 23. This is your increase in power. So let's just say in that case, where were we? Green went up 1 power. So on here, green goes up 1. And throughout the game, as you tax more, you get more powerful as a nation. And you can see these zones, so 0, 1, 2. Whoever gets to 5 first triggers game end. And those are multipliers by the number at the top here. So let's just say France trigger the game end. And let's say it was a really quick game because everyone kind of let France into the lead because they let them tax. What would happen then? So you look at all your shares and you just basically multiply this number by where it is. In this case, France is all the way on 5. These guys have got a number 2. So 2 times 5 is 10 victory points. You have got black in the 2 section. 2 times 2 is 4, and so on. You add up the money you've acquired through the game, and you kind of keep it secret under here. You don't want people figuring out what your purchasing power is. And whoever has the most money wins. Now, for me, I find it fascinating the change of power throughout the game. 1 minute you're controlling, say, Russia, and you've got this plan to kind of oust Germany, or maybe you even control Germany. You think, right, the North's safe, you've got tokens up here for tax, but then all of a sudden someone else has invested more and they get to control Russia for a little bit, and they kind of scupper your plans, and then you're trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do now? Maybe you've got alliances. There's no official alliances, but you can negotiate with other players potentially to say, right, I'll keep this free. Now, importantly, I didn't actually go through battles. So let's give you a demonstration here. I'll just grab a few, where are we, ships. So at the top then, let's just say Britain produced some navy. They produced a ship. They've put it into, they've gone in this section, then they've gone in the North Sea. Now they would have a, if that focuses in, a tax token because they're the first in there. Now let's just say Russia have come all the way over here from the Baltic Sea, is it? And they've gone through into this section. A battle happens. Now, the people who enter decide first. They go, are they going to be friendly or are they going to attack? If they declare friendly, then the British in this case decide, well, yeah, that's fine. I'll let you do so. And the power stays with Britain. If either of them decide to declare an attack, it is literally 1 for 1 in battle. So both are gone and red will remain in power there. But if the purples did come back into here, they would change this tax token to a purple token. But more interestingly, you might find scenarios where 3 players are in a spot and purple's entered and they actually want to take out Britain, so 1 for 1, and black is remaining there, so then they become the power. So there's a little bit of tit for tat, and that can also happen on the land ones with these little artillery units. And if you spend 3 units, you can destroy these factories. But as I say, it's an overview, and good old Switzerland are neutral. They don't really do a fat lot in this game, which is kind of true to the events. And that's really it, folks. You're trying to invest in the bonds. You're trying to sometimes be, well, you mainly want to be government because you want to take control of the actions. And there's just a lot of back and forth, really, and that's what I like about it. At first impressions, it kind of looks like a war game. You've got all these units on the board, but once you get into the nitty gritty, it's literally just the exchange of money for bonds and really trying to escalate this power bar at the bottom to get the maximum at the end of the game. And there we are, folks, a true beauty, Imperial.